Hi, my name is Stella from Chasing Waters, and I'm back at it again. Today I want to fill in one of the pages of my coloring book that I published earlier this year. So come with me and yeah, grab a drink or your own coloring book or just watch the video and enjoy. Let's get into the coloring. Today I'm gonna color in with some markers. Most of them are pro markers that I used back when I was studying a long time ago. And yeah, they're pretty good. They're pro markers. They're quite expensive, so you definitely don't need that to color in a book. And I'm also gonna use some normal colored pencils as well. These ones are from Tiger, if you're familiar with it, if you live in Europe. It's like a cheap brand from, I don't know, Sweden, Denmark, something like that. So you definitely don't need any expensive things to color in. Just use whatever you have. But yeah, let's get into it. I did forget one thing though, so I'm gonna go and get that. What I went to grab was just some normal white paper so that I can test out the colors before putting them on the actual pages, and also because these markers tend to bleed quite a lot. I remember even when I've used them on quite thick watercolor paper or mixed media paper, they have still bled through, so I just like to have some paper underneath just in case. And yeah, the pencils do not bleed though, obviously. My plan was to make more of a, walk through talking while drawing, but there's a construction site right side of our building. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's very annoying. So I think I'm just gonna make a voiceover because it's getting more and more intense. But I'm gonna find out which one of these I'm gonna paint. I think actually this one was the one I was thinking about, the Balinese dancer. And yeah, so enjoy. In this book I've already colored in some pages. Like this is page number 17 of the Vaki people. And then this is like a quick crayon that I didn't actually finish. And yeah, crayons as well, they do not bleed through at all. As you can see, this is the other page of it. And then also I colored in the Inuit as well. So I'm putting a page underneath just in case. And then I think I want more warm colors. So I'm just testing out the different colors to see what I like. And what I like about these pro markers are that they have a thicker point. This camera's so far away, but thicker point, and then it also has a thinner one, which is great. And they've lasted me, when did I buy this? I think I bought them like 9 years ago, I'm not even kidding. Yeah, and they still work, so they're worth it. Also, there's absolutely no need to be, preparing this much for the colors. Yeah, this is just the perfectionist in me trying to plan things out. But yeah, absolutely not necessary. Okay, let's just get it started. Art can be intimidating, don't you think? Sometimes you have an idea in your head for the longest time, but you don't actually get it out on canvas or paper or any other media that you might use personally. I believe is rooted in this fear of failure, which I talk more about in my previous video, so you can check that out if you want. When people talk about bursts of inspiration, I think many times people talk about the sensation of fearlessness, of courage. Because you might already have dozens of ideas in your head ready to be manifested into the real life. But you still don't do it. I guess you end up doing it when the feeling of creating becomes stronger of the feeling of failing. Is this rush of spontaneity and adventurousness to create. It's useful to know that it's not the lack of inspiration that is stopping you, but rather the fear of failing, the fear of making something that is not up to your expectations. And when you know this, you can attempt to give yourself lower expectations and to remember that you don't need to like everything you create. Not everything you create needs to be a success, nor does it need to be the best thing you've made so far. You actually don't need to like it at all. And worst case scenario, you can just paint over it or start something completely different, or redo whatever you've done. Life goes on. Anyways, sometimes I want to create without having any sort of expectations. And without really feeling like needing to share it with the world either. Art in itself is therapy. When you get really infatuated with the process and you lose the sense of time and completely disconnect from the outside world. Your mind is not distracted, it's completely present in whatever you're doing, and the colors that you're using. You're not overthinking it, you're just creating intuitively. Sometimes I want to tap into this, but without the overwhelming expectations of what it will look like in the end. The sometimes overwhelming sensation of creating something from scratch. You know, the thing where people are scared of the blank pages. It's a real thing. In times like that, I open up the coloring book I created and self-published earlier this year. It includes 15 illustrations inspired by women from different unique cultures all over the world. It represents the diversity we can find on our earth. And it's also a nice way to familiarizing yourself with cultures you might not have heard of before. I know that when I was researching for this coloring book, I for sure learned a lot about different cultures and indigenous communities. I found it fascinating to see how people have different ways of expressing themselves, but also how people could have striking similarities while being completely separated from each other. They still could find similar ways to express themselves even though they had no contact. Varying from more obvious things like the shape of their clothing, or having jewels around their necks or in their hair, the fabrics, to more specific things like the way some cultures like to elongate their necks, and that it seemed very beautiful, or use very similar color schemes in their clothing or the patterns. I made a whole series about how I made the coloring book. There you can also learn more about the specific cultures that are included. I'll link the playlist here if you're interested. So the physical book is currently available in these following Amazon marketplaces. It's actually really fun to see that the book, which was made to highlight unique cultures from all over the world, has also been sold in so many different marketplaces. So I feel like it's coming full circle. I also published a downloadable version for tablets on my website, so if that's more your thing, then feel free to download that on my website. In relations to the holidays, I have a discount that has already been applied to the products. It's 25% off both the digital and physical book. The sale has already started early for the newsletter subscribers. So I do send out newsletters maybe every other month. I really just send it out when I have something specific I want to share. Behind the scenes insight, important updates and events that has happened, and special offers. So if you want to join the newsletter club, then check out the website and it's on the bottom of the page. If you made it all the way to the end, I want to thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you next time.